Hello. We are talking today about how to improve your energy and your digestion. And I wanted to do this kind of mini training in video format because earlier today I posted a reel on my Instagram. I'll add the link to that below this video if you missed it. But I essentially broke down the steps that I would focus on if I was struggling with my energy and my digestion. So I'm speaking to these steps from personal experience, but also what works really well for a lot of my clients. And even more than that, understanding the reason that it's happening in the first place. So in this video, I also thought I could elaborate a little bit more on the difference between root cause versus kind of the band-aidy, hacky approaches that are out there when it comes to fixing your energy and digestion. And I'm also going to talk about how those two symptoms in particular are actually connected and how it can be a sign of something deeper going on. Chances are, if you're struggling with your energy and your digestion, you're probably also dealing with other things. Maybe it's cravings, period issues, skin issues, stubborn weight, lack of motivation, difficulty recovering from workouts, lots of things. So I'm going to talk about why that is, how it's all connected, and then also elaborate a little bit more into each of the 5 steps so that you have kind of a what I'm calling 30-day game plan, because honestly, you can accomplish these things in the next 30 days if you're intentional. And one thing that'll make it easier to implement these in 30 days is if you also have the resources to follow each step. So you're not like digging or Googling or troubleshooting and trying different things that aren't necessarily the right things. And that is exactly what we do inside Well Nourished. We actually start our next cohort in September. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And we are accepting applications now. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely send me a DM, or you can comment below this video wherever you're watching, and I'll send you the application or just share more information with you on exactly what that program looks like and what all is included, because you do get a lot of one-on-one support from me, functional lab assessments, things like that. But I do want to make sure that it's obviously a good fit for you. So if that's something you want to talk about, don't hesitate to reach out. I also want to mention that this video is streamed inside our private circle group called the Nourish Her Community. And so if you're watching this somewhere else, I'll be sure to drop the link below to actually request to join that group, because I share a lot of other mini trainings like this and resources, free resources, strategies, tips around supporting your hormones, your digestion, your metabolism, your body composition, all those things that we have as goals, especially in today's fast-paced, busy world. And we're dealing with a lot of symptoms that are common but not normal. So I dig into all those topics in that group. Okay, so let's get into it. Hopefully you can see my screen share here. And what I'm going to just start this off by saying is that, spoiler alert, to fix your digestion and your energy, I'm not going to recommend that you cut out all sugar or do a sugar detox or any sort of fast, whether it's intermittent fasting or a 2-day fast, an elimination diet where you're cutting out all of these foods, a Whole30, taking greens powders, or bone broth protein shakes. And I threw that in there because I did all of these things. This is what I thought I needed to do to improve my energy and fix my digestion. And I won't go too much into my root cause story, but I had a lot of gut issues that were a result of chronic dieting, over exercising, mold exposure, poor sleep, and really just not addressing my root cause. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But this is not what you have to do if you want to improve your energy and your digestion. So before we dive in, like I mentioned before, I am working with a small group of women. This is limited to 10 women per cohort. So the way we're running it in the fall is just for 10 women. And so if you have goals around improving your energy, your digestion, and balancing your hormones without restricted diets or quick fixes, then send me a DM on Instagram. You can just say the words "I'm ready," and I'll send you more details for that. Okay, so if you've been feeling sluggish, bloated, just not like yourself, you have probably tried a lot. Most of my clients have whenever they've come to me. They've gone to their doctors, they're already eating healthy, they're already working out, they've prioritized a lot of things. So maybe you're eating clean, but you're still feeling drained and bloated. You're constantly battling cravings and energy dips throughout the day. You've tried cutting out foods, exercising more, taking supplements, but nothing seems to work long term. I'm going to talk about why this is, especially this last one. It can actually make things worse, especially in the long term. So, we're going to kind of connect all the dots as to why this is happening and why those things aren't working. So, let me know if any of this sounds familiar, and this will also help to kind of validate if you're in the right place watching this. So, if you're dragging yourself out of bed, relying on caffeine, crashing at 3 p.m., you're struggling to stay focused and present and just motivated, whether it's in your work or your social life or just your day to day. And then maybe you're also dealing with constant bloat no matter what you eat or don't eat. Your clothes feel tight, they're not fitting, nothing is comfortable. You find yourself avoiding certain foods and eliminating more and more foods because you're reacting to them. You have meal anxiety, you're afraid to eat certain foods for fear of it making you feel bloated or having to run to the bathroom. You have embarrassing gas, and you also have inconsistent bowel movements where you maybe won't go for 3 days and then you'll go and it'll be the completely opposite scenario for you. It's just very unpredictable. And I will also add that if you're not going to the bathroom every single day, you're not supposed to skip a day. You need to go every single day. Then that's, if you're skipping, then that's not normal. And that is defined as constipation, and it can lead to a lot of hormone issues as well. Okay, so why is this combination of low energy and digestive issues so common? They go hand in hand because they have similar root causes. And I see so many women dealing with this, especially the kind of millennials who have really unknowingly sabotaged their hormones and their metabolism. So I see this creep up for a lot of women now that they're in their 30s, or maybe they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're realizing that they just don't feel the same anymore. They don't feel like themselves. And it's only getting worse as they get older and continue to ignore why it's happening in the first place. So, how is it all connected without going into a complete biology deep dive on hormones and blood sugar and metabolism? Because those all do play a role. And that is something that I teach more inside the Well Nourished program and what we address with our one on one clients as well. But kind of the TLDR version is that you are dealing with chronic stress, real or perceived. A lot of women, I'll talk about some stressors that we're dealing with that we don't even recognize as stressors. But this is what happens to a lot of women. And this is why root cause assessment is so helpful, because we can see how things have actually shifted as a result of these chronic stressors, or we can see what's going on inside the body that's increasing stress, even if you're not mentally perceiving stress from the external world. So, chronic stress combined with riding the blood sugar roller coaster, which is more common than not, even if you're not eating a lot of sugar. I see it with women all the time, from poor meal timing habits, poor balanced meals, lots of things that I'll actually get into with one of the steps. And then this combo, high stress, blood sugar roller coaster, leads to a slowed metabolism and a sluggish thyroid, even if it's not showing up with those basic labs that you get from your doctor. 9 times out of 10, this is the case. And when your metabolism slows down, so does everything else, essentially. And so this leads to poor digestive function, cortisol dysregulation, which gets a lot of attention these days, but essentially cortisol should be high in the morning and low at night, and you're completely throwing off those natural rhythms. Low energy and fatigue, and then also cravings, which very commonly come with those energy crashes, because those energy crashes are due to that blood sugar drop. So, like I kind of just mentioned, your metabolism essentially influences anything that requires energy. And the reason that I want to hit on this is because if you're experiencing digestive issues and low energy, you might also be experiencing other signs and symptoms of a sluggish metabolism, because it, again, influences anything that requires energy. So, this includes your hunger and appetite. One example of a sluggish metabolism is not feeling hungry first thing in the morning. It influences your digestion, which is obviously very energy intensive to break foods down, but you also need to produce digestive enzymes and stomach acid to break that food down as well. And when you don't, over time, what happens is this gut dysbiosis and bacterial overgrowth and all of these things that make us feel even worse and have these food sensitivities. It's responsible for body temperature regulation. So if you feel cold often, or if you take your basal body temperature first thing in the morning and it's below 97.5, that's a sign of a sluggish metabolism. Your hair, your skin, your nails are all related to your metabolism. So if you have thinning hair or hair loss, if you have dry skin or acne, if you have brittle nails or nails that break easily, those are all red flags pointing towards a sluggish metabolism. Detox abilities, and this can fall into so many categories because your detox abilities influence your hormones, so estrogen and progesterone balance, which can lead to a lot of hormone related symptoms, but also to your skin. So if you have a lot of skin issues, that could be connected. So lots of things go into that needing to support detox. And also, I mentioned this because I have some clients who will come to me and they're trying to do a detox protocol of some sort for their gut or for mold or whatever it is, and they don't even have a healthy metabolism to begin with, so they really can't detox properly. It's important for your immune health. So if you have autoimmune issues or you feel like you get sick often, and then hormone production. So especially the production of cortisol, your stress hormones, production of sex hormones like progesterone, which is very important for, it's like our calming anti-anxiety hormone. And it's also important for the production of thyroid hormone. Thyroid in itself is kind of like the regulator of your metabolism. So when that slows down, so does your metabolism. And then, of course, your energy and your mood, those are influenced by your metabolism. So low energy, low mood is a sign of a sluggish metabolism, which is why kind of like as an umbrella goal for a lot of clients, it really is, regardless of their weight, if they have body composition goals, improving their metabolism makes those 10 times easier. But even if they're not, if they don't have any weight to lose, they still need to focus on supporting their metabolism because it's your body's ability to produce energy. And so that is going to spill over into basically all areas of your health and a lot of the day-to-day experiences or symptoms that you're experiencing. So, what causes it to slow down? I like to share this because we can kind of see, and I just want to highlight the actual things we're doing day to day that sabotage our metabolism and our hormones. So, these are like the millennial modern day metabolism sabotagers, if you will. That's kind of a mouthful, but it's things like chronically dieting, whether it's intentional or unintentional, fasting and skipping meals, over exercising, always being on the go, multitasking, jumping from one thing to the next. You can't sit down, and if you do, you have to be scrolling on your phone. Pregnancy and breastfeeding, huge stressor on the body. We don't realize it because it's such a, for most people, very enjoyable, obviously rewarding experience, but it is robbing your body of nutrients and it's very stressful. Going low carb. So this could be like a paleo style sort of template or keto template. That is stressful for the body because carbs are quick, easy sources of fuel. Going low protein or just not eating enough protein rather is stressful on the body. Exposure to toxins, things in our environment, but also what we're putting on our skin on a regular basis. Low minerals, especially low sodium, that can lead to stress on the body, slow down your metabolism, and then unintentionally undereating. Like I mentioned before, some women are just going through their day and they're only getting 1,600 calories, which is going to be problematic, especially for adequate hormone production and thyroid function, and therefore your metabolism. Okay, so Band-Aids versus root cause. I said I would mention like kind of the difference between these two because I think if we understand this concept, whenever I get into the 5 steps, things are just going to click right away and you're going to be like, okay, makes sense why I need to focus on these things. So Band-Aids and hacks basically look like anything that you would see if you pop open your phone, Instagram, or TikTok, and you look to see what people are saying in like a 5 to 10 second clip. Those are going to be hacks. It's like the shiny object, kind of like more interesting, sexy stuff that we want to give us that instant gratification. So it could be removing foods, which is even more popular in the functional space. However, it's still a Band-Aid approach because we're not addressing why your body's reacting to those foods in the first place. So removing foods, taking cortisol balancing supplements or cortisol drinks or adaptogens or whatever, supplement you're trying to take to boost progesterone or lower cortisol, all of those things, still Band-Aids. Energy drinks, or on the other end, maybe you're trying to completely cut out caffeine, which would still be kind of a Band-Aid approach. Because again, you're not getting to the bottom of why you have low energy in the first place. taking probiotics, drinking bone broth, maybe you're doing fermented foods, or maybe on the other end, you're doing like Miralax and lots of magnesium supplements just to have a bowel movement. Sugar detoxes, strict meal plans, using willpower and discipline. Those are definitely the things that I thought I needed to have more energy, and it just completely backfired essentially. So those are all examples of band-aidy and hacks because they're not actually addressing your root cause. So whenever we look at the root cause, we're looking at why you have low energy and gut issues in the first place, aka sluggish metabolism, cortisol dysregulation, gut dysbiosis, poor digestive function, all those things that I just talked about. And this might be a little bit different from person to person. For some people, it's more related to being super depleted in minerals. For others, it's more related to really riding the blood sugar roller coaster day in and day out. So when you pinpoint your root cause and what you need to focus on, the plan that you carry out gets so much easier and so much more simple. A root cause approach also involves supporting the foundations, which are the things that we cannot skip, but are often skipped whenever we're kind of jumping over them and focusing on the hacks instead. So as one example, you're taking a probiotic, drinking bone broth, but you're still pretty stressed and you're eating on the go, you're not chewing your food well, and maybe you're eating foods that are actually really difficult to digest. And then the last thing that I want to highlight with the root cause approach is it actually resolves the problem so you don't have to worry about it anymore instead of just covering it up, instead of just managing it. So I like to equate it to if you step on a nail, you have that nail in your foot, it's going to be super painful. You can take ibuprofen over and over and over again to help alleviate that pain. But it's not until you take that nail out of your foot, which is the root cause of the pain, that you're going to get permanent relief and you'll no longer have to rely on that ibuprofen for pain relief. Hacks versus frameworks, this kind of goes along the same lines, but the thing that I want to highlight with hacks, because I see a lot of women make these mistakes, they're doing things that don't apply to them. So they see it work for somebody else and they're like, that must work for me. But because it worked for that person does not mean it's going to work for you. Hacks also usually give you short-term wins, which is why somebody says, oh, XYZ works for me, until it doesn't, because it's just that short-term win, which is why they can be kind of enticing and you want to jump to them, but they're not going to give you the long-term results that we're going for. They also are more likely to give you instant gratification. So that is nice because you're getting that instant gratification. You do something and you see it work, but because it doesn't last, you're not, again, playing the long game. With a framework, which is what we teach step by step, it starts with one, a proper assessment. So you actually understand what applies to you. For example, assessing your blood sugar, assessing your metabolism, assessing your gut health. All of those things tell you what you need to focus on. And then it has a step-by-step plan that addresses the foundations, the ones that cannot be skipped, and key body systems. The key body systems that we really like to focus on are your metabolism, your detoxification and your liver, your gut health, your nervous system. All of those work together to support your energy and your digestion. And then also having a framework to follow is basically playing the long game. So you're learning how to do something that you are going to follow for the rest of your life and get those long-term results. All right, so let's get into the steps. This is the Fix Your Energy and Gut game plan. So as an overview, we have 5 steps. Number 1 is eating enough during the day. Number 2 is balancing blood sugar. Number 3 is supporting digestive function, not just eliminating foods, but improving your body's ability to break those foods down. Number 4 is minerals. And number 5 is sleep and sunlight. So step number 1, eating enough during the day. And this is where I would start. If I was really struggling, wondering, why does my energy suck? Why am I bloated all the time? I would make sure that I'm eating enough during the day, because restricting calories or skipping meals will only lead to more stress on your body, which can worsen energy and cause more digestive issues. It also slows your metabolism, which, like I mentioned before, is going to slow everything else down. So lower production of digestive enzymes, lower stomach acid, lower energy output. So you're not even burning as many calories as you normally would. And as an example, because a lot of people say, I'm eating enough, 9 times out of 10, when I look at women's food journals, they're still not eating enough, especially during the day. So as an example, if you're having a banana with 2 eggs for breakfast, a salad for lunch, a yogurt for a snack, and that's all like the beginning of your day or maybe up until 4 p.m., that is not enough food. And then maybe at night you're like snacking and wanting to eat after dinner and all these things that it makes sense because you didn't eat enough earlier on in the day. Or you crash at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. That is why. Or if you're waiting until 11 a.m. to eat, so you skip breakfast, not hungry, or you're just rushing through your morning, you're drinking coffee, which suppresses hunger and stomach acid, that's also not enough. And if you're really just skipping even one meal, whether that's breakfast or example 3 is you're working your way through lunch, you're snacking and grazing instead of sitting down and eating, either way, skipping breakfast or skipping lunch, it's going to be really hard to get the amount of calories that you need in a day in total. So consider that whenever you're looking at your entire day. We give you actual templates to kind of understand better what it looks like to eat enough and how to space that out evenly throughout the day. And also, if you're wondering, am I eating enough? Am I not? Here are some signs. If you can even check off 2 or 3 of these, we definitely need to evaluate your total calorie intake and figure out what we need to adjust. So low, inconsistent energy, poor appetite in the morning. If you have anxiety or you feel reactive or you have a lot of mood swings, if you're constipated, especially, or you're bloated, you have a lot of food intolerances, if you can't fall asleep or you're waking up at night to 3 a.m. time frame, so you have a hard time staying asleep. If you have issues with hair growth, your hair is thinning or you're losing your hair, if you feel cold often, even in the summertime or when everybody else is totally fine and you need a jacket, dry skin, and again, hair, skin, nails goes back to metabolism. Difficulty losing fat. I know that can sound counterintuitive because you're like, well, shouldn't I be eating less in order to lose fat? But if you're having a hard time losing fat and you've been dieting, then that's a sign that you probably need to actually start eating more. Also, if you have cravings or you're always relying on willpower, if you have blood sugar imbalances, which can show up in a lot of different signs and symptoms, including low energy and cravings, if you have a hard time recovering from workouts and you're sore or you feel like you got hit by a bus for the day after, and then symptoms around hormones like low libido, PMS, irregular, or missing periods. All these things require calories and we need to make sure that you're eating enough. All right, step number 2 is balancing blood sugar. So blood sugar swings, those highs and lows, are what I call riding the blood sugar roller coaster, are going to lead to energy crashes, and it is a huge stress on the body. If you're like, I feel fine, I don't feel stressed, but you're riding the blood sugar roller coaster, your body is definitely stressed out. And there are a lot of things that come into helping your body actually stabilize blood sugar well. We have to look at macronutrients, we have to look at micronutrients, we look a lot at minerals as well, and meal timing. So basically all of the M's. But the best place to start is with what's on your plate. And so we recommend this balanced meal template where you're leading with animal proteins. Those are the most bioavailable, easy to digest, nutrient dense, mineral rich carb sources. So fruits, root vegetables, potatoes. If you're cooking something like rice, you can do it in bone broth for extra minerals. And then fats, and fats from both plants and animals. A lot of people skip this. They say, oh, I eat avocados or I do olive oil, but all of the fats are great fats as long as it's coming from nature. So we're not doing a lot of those inflammatory oils, but we want to get a variety of all of these, especially for healthy hormones and fat soluble vitamins. So that's important. So I like to say PFC, or protein, fat, carbs, for every 3. So you're doing this 3 times, 3 meals. 3 solid meals is also very important for supporting blood sugar balance. So PFC for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. And then we also teach you how to kind of like combine your snacks as well so that they support blood sugar. So instead of just doing a banana or some carrots or like maybe you're doing something more processed, a granola bar or something higher in sugar, we want to make sure that we're pairing that with protein and or fat. And that can be really helpful for energy levels. Step number 3 is rebalancing minerals. If you're not intentional with minerals, chances are they are off. And also, if you're taking a multivitamin, they're definitely off because that drives everything out of whack. We also see mineral depletions in women who have been on birth control for extended periods of time. So we need to be intentional with rebalancing minerals. And these are essentially the spark plugs. I think of them as basically what kicks off all of the different chemical reactions for every cell in the body. So they're essential for thyroid hormones, blood sugar balance, hormone production, your weight, your fertility, your digestion, really anything in the body that requires energy. And there are a lot of ways to add minerals, and we really like to emphasize focusing on potassium and sodium and magnesium. If you don't have this mineral magic guide, you can DM me the word minerals or just comment below this video, and I'll send you this mineral mocktail guide that has some recipes so you can add it in through. I put both drink forms and food forms, but getting your mineral mocktails in is so easy and also enjoyable. So 3 p.m. if you're having that energy slump, or before meals if you're feeling like you're already bloated and you're going into that meal and you know you'll feel worse, mineral mocktails will make a huge difference. Step number 4 is to support digestive function. So there are a lot of ways to do this, and we do kind of customize it with some clients based on their GI map stool test, which I'm posting an example of one here. We can look at different bacterial overgrowth or digestive function or reactions to things like gluten. But the best place to start is with how you're eating. So before you even take foods out, and I see women getting stressed out a lot about like, should I eat eggs or should I eat potatoes or whatever it is? Or do I need to eliminate all of these foods from my food sensitivity test, which basically just tells us that you have a very permeable gut and we need to heal your gut lining. But removing those foods is not going to get to the root of the issue. So we need to make sure that we're eating easy to digest food. So if you're doing a bunch of raw salads and things that are hard to break down, and then you're also not chewing it very well, that's going to cause digestive issues. So easy to digest foods, rest and digest state. So you're sitting, taking some deep breaths, getting into that parasympathetic state versus eating on the go while you're driving, while standing up, while in a meeting, while checking emails. Avoiding multitasking, that makes a huge difference. Spacing your meals out appropriately as well. So eating roughly every 3 to 4 hours, assuming you've eaten enough with that meal, is helpful for letting your digestive enzymes reset so that with that next meal, you can actually break it down properly versus always kind of snacking and grazing. And then increasing your stomach acid, your enzymes, and your fat breakdown. Those 3 areas are what we focus on for breaking down your food properly. And for these, we use some mealtime strategies for sure. These are important, but also strategic supplements can be helpful here. And then step number 5 is checking your sleep and your stress. So those 2 S's I think are the most overlooked. People will say, oh, I get 6 hours of sleep, or I go to bed at 11 p.m. And that's definitely not enough, especially if we're trying to lower stress in the body. And then when it comes to sunlight, we need more sunlight than we need screens. So if we're on our phone constantly, on our computers, watching TV, especially late at night, or if you have a TV in your bedroom, highly recommend changing that ASAP. That's all going to interfere with your circadian rhythms. And your digestion actually works on a circadian clock, which is why you get thrown off when you travel, right? You might go a couple days without going to the bathroom whenever you travel. That's due to the changes in circadian rhythms. And then also, you should be going to the bathroom around the same time every single day. So if you miss that opportunity or you miss that window, you might not even go that day. And then you'll feel more bloated and just overall won't feel as good. And then also with the sunlight and the sun exposure and the circadian rhythms, that regulates your cortisol levels, which is going to influence your energy. So we need cortisol. It's not a bad thing. We need it to respond to stressors, and we also need it to give us energy. And it works in opposition to melatonin. So we need melatonin high at night, obviously, and cortisol low. And one thing that helps with that is that natural light exposure in the morning, and then also limiting blue lights and artificial lights at night. So some ways or steps to actually implement this is going to be getting to bed and waking up at the same time every single day, even on the weekends. Direct sunlight first thing in the morning. Do this before checking your phone. Wait to check your phone if you can, like 30 minutes or so. Just don't let it be the first thing that you do when you roll out of bed. Using blue blockers at night. So not blue filtering, but blue blockers, which are orange tinted. It blocks out all of the screens you might be looking at, or even lights that are like in your kitchen or bathroom. And then if you're waking up at 2 a.m., you're like, I'm trying to prioritize sleep, but I'm still waking up. Then we need to go back to really supporting your blood sugar, making sure you're eating enough. And then also that's usually a sign that your liver needs some additional support. And we have tools for that as well. Okay, I have two bonus strategies for you. So one is around movement. A lot of the women we work with like to be active or are active, but if they're struggling with their energy or their digestion's getting in the way of them working out, it can be super frustrating. So one thing I want to emphasize is that more is not better. If you're strategic at the right things, that is what's going to be better and more effective. Your workouts should not leave you feeling exhausted or tanked. And you need to kind of flip the script around getting your energy back first by following these steps that I just went over. And then you'll be more motivated to work out and you'll actually get more of the benefits from that workout, like building muscle. A good kind of foundation for movement is walking outside. So you're getting that sunlight that will give you energy. And then having movement throughout the day. So breaking up your sedentary time versus working out for an hour in the morning and then sitting all day long. And then the second bonus, I couldn't go through this without talking about hormones and tracking your cycle. So this is really important because the shift in estrogen and progesterone will influence your energy and your digestion. So what we see is during your luteal phase, which is the second half of your cycle, post-ovulation, leading up to your period, this is actually whenever your metabolism is higher due to the increase in progesterone. So first half of your cycle is more estrogen dominant, second half is more progesterone dominant. And that progesterone speeds up your metabolism, which requires more calories. And if you don't meet those calorie needs, you'll have less energy. And then it also can increase bloating and especially constipation. So in the 5 or so days leading up to your period, if you notice that, it is due to those shifts in hormones. So two things that you can consider here in the second half of your cycle. If you're tracking, you ovulate and you're in your luteal phase, you need more calories to support your energy. And just a simple adjustment of like 200 to 300 calories extra can make a huge difference. And then you also really need to focus on foods that are easier to digest. So this isn't the time to do a bunch of like raw salads again. You want warming cooked foods that are easy to digest. And you might also need to carve out a little bit of extra time to actually sit down and relax and eat your food. And then I'll also say that really dialing in on your sleep during this time and making sure you're not adding too much to your schedule or to your plate is going to help a lot as well. So this is your 30-day plan because those are essentially 5 steps that you can follow in the next 30 days and start seeing results. But I also want to acknowledge if you have longer term goals, sometimes it can take a little bit of time, especially if we're working on, and those lay the foundations. So 30 days, you lay those foundations, but then working through 60, 90-day plans, which is something we map out in the Well Nourished program, what we want to accomplish in 30 days. We do that with eating enough minerals, balancing blood sugar, etc. What do we want to accomplish in the next 60 days? What do we need to kind of fine tune? And then in that 90-day period, you're actually continuing to practice and implement what you learn works for you and do that consistently. And also figure out how it's kind of fitting into your life and what habits really need to be dialed in on the most. So if you have goals around improving your digestion, your hormones, maybe you have goals around improving your cycle health or your periods or your fertility, if you want to improve your energy, if you want to improve your weight and your body composition, if you want to improve your sleep, and you're ready to prioritize your health and actually support your body as a whole, not again, follow all these different like hacks and kind of piecemeal things together, then we have all of the tools and the resources that you need, including root cause assessments to figure out why things are happening in the first place inside Well Nourished. And this will help you to make sure you're focusing on exactly what's right for your body, not what you see, what is working for somebody else, and then also give you the longer term results and get coaching and feedback and all of the recommendations and tools from me as well. So if you want more support, you can apply for Well Nourished. Just DM me on Instagram, the word nourish. Anytime I see that word, I know that that indicates you want a application for the Well Nourished program. Or if you're like, I don't know if I want to apply and you just want to talk about it more to see if it's a good fit, then reach out to me and we can chat. And I also have a video that I can send you that goes over all of the details as well. There's also options for functional lab testing within the program, one-on-one support. If you're like, I want more high touch hand holding, we have that option for you as well. And essentially customizing your protocol, giving you your roadmap that you'll walk through within that time period to actually make sure that you're focusing on the right things in the right order. So if you want to restore your metabolism, optimize your hormones, improve your energy, your digestion, all of the things really support your body as a whole, then that is going to be the perfect way to do it and to get support from me. All right. So that is all I have for today. What I'm going to do is I will drop the links that I've mentioned below. So that mineral mocktail guide, the mineral magic guide, rather, with those recipes, and also the Instagram post where I kind of shared my experience and how I would focus on supporting my energy and my digestion. And then again, if you want to apply, just DM me the word nourish, or you can email me. If you're not on Instagram, just email me the word nourish and I will follow up with you and we will chat to see if it is a good fit. All right. If you have questions on anything that I shared, feel free, if you're watching the replay, to just drop them in the comments and I'll come back and I'll answer those questions as well. I hope this is helpful for you and I will see you next time. Bye.